In part 3, we settled one idea. The answer is decide before it is written. Retrieve, select, and prioritize. You ended with a prioritized decision. That is the strongest points in the right order. But a decision is not yet an answer. But a decision is not yet an answer. Knowing what to write is not the same as building it. So, we are going to build the answer in the next step, and that is the correct step. That is this step, part 4. And building has a shape, that is structure, introduction. That is, building has a shape. We need structure for that. Introduction, body, and conclusion we need. So most students think structure is decoration, a heading here, an underline there. It is not a decoration. It is how the evaluator moves through your answer. A structured answer is not the one that looks neat. Both are different. The structure answer is not the one that looks neat. It is the one the examiner can read without effort. Because marks are not just earned, they are awarded. They are awarded by someone reading at speed. So make that reading easy, and the marks come easier too. So the introduction has one job, not to impress, to enter the demand, 2 or 3 lines, define the core term or frame the issue, and signal where the answer is going. No long background, no history the question did not ask for. But the examiner should know by the end of your first sentence that you understood what was asked in the question. This is all about introduction. Then comes to the body. This is where the marks live. The body is your prioritized points. From part 3, now given room to breathe. Like how? One idea per paragraph. Lead with the point, then explain it, then support it with a fact, an example, a provision. Move in the order you decided. Strongest first, and demands own logic causes, then effects, factors, then measures, both sides, then a verdict. The structure of the body is the structure of the question. So when they asked cause and effect, then factor and then measures. So they demands own logic. We have to write depend and demands the logic of the question, and particularly demand of the question we have to write. This is all about body, and comes to this conclusion. The conclusion is not a summary, it is a landing. For an analytical question, conclusion should be a balanced verdict. A problem question, for a problem question, a conclusion should be a way forward. two or three lines enough. It closes the loop the introduction opened. A weak answer stops, but a strong answer concludes. It closes the loop the introduction opened. So, for that easily understanding, we are going to discuss few questions, previous year questions from 2025 paper. In part 3, we decided what to write. Now we build it. Two questions. For the first, we write the full answer. For the second, we build the structure. Start small, see a complete answer take shape. Then scale the same thinking up. So let me take example number 1, that is 10 markers question. That is, what are the challenges before the Indian economy when the world is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism? How can these challenges be met? This is question from GS3 2025 question, 10 markers question. Answer should be right in 150 words. I will repeat the question again. I will reread the question again. What are the challenges before the Indian economy when the world is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism? How can these challenges be met? This is the question. First, the demand. Here, two question marks. One question marks of bilateralism and one question marks unmet. So, two halves challenges. Then, how to meet them? So, we did retrieve, select, prioritize in part 3. Now, we build and we write it out in full. Here is the full answer for this particular question. Introduction. Introduction. As global trade shifts from multilateralism toward protectionism and bilateral deals, an export linked, import dependent economy like India faces a real pressure on growth, jobs, and strategic autonomy. This is the introduction. This is the introduction. Introduction. As global trade shifts from multilateralism toward protectionism and bilateral deals. This is the question. In the question, we have taken an export linked, import dependent economy like India faces a real pressure on growth, jobs, and strategic autonomy. In the introduction itself, we are telling to examiner, we are going to write this way. This is the signal of the question we are going to write in the body. So comes to the body. Challenges. First, market access. In the market access, rising tariffs and bilateral blocks can shut Indian exports out of key markets. Second, supply chains. Protectionism disrupts the imported inputs and technology. Imported inputs and technology. Indian industry depends on. Third, bargaining power. Bilateralism favors large economies. India negotiates from a weaker position one on one than with a multilateral bloc. Then, fourth one, external shocks. Trade wars raise volatility in oil, capital flows, and the rupee. And body, in the body, first one is challenges, then how to meet them. How to meet them? Diversify export markets and deepen regional ties to reduce single market dependence. Strengthen domestic manufacturing through schemes like PLI to cut import reliance. Negotiate balanced bilateral and regional trade agreements that protect core interests and build resilience. Stable micro policy and a push up the value chain. This is the second half of the body, how to meet them. Then conclusion. Protectionism is a challenge, but also a prompt to become more competitive, more diversified, and more self reliant while still engaging the world. This is the complete answer. Introduction entered the demand, body answered both halves. In order, conclusion landed on a balanced note. Notice, please notice what built it. Not more knowledge, the same knowledge given a shape. That's it. So this is the way of you are writing the answer. And then second one, second example, that is 15 markers built the structure. Here the question is GS paper 2. Indian constitution has conferred the amending power on the ordinary legislative institutions with a few procedural hurdles. In view of this statement, examine the procedural and substantive limitations on the amending power of the parliament to change the constitution. So this is a bigger question, more marks and more words. But we already know what a finished answer looks like. So this time we will not write every line. We will build the frame, the same four-part shape, scaled up. First the demand, then two words, decide everything, procedural limitations and substantive limitations. The body already has its two halves. The question wrote them for you. Now the skeleton. Introduction, two lines. Introduction, two lines. That is, Article 368 gives the power to amend, but it offends by procedure and by substance. That single line signals both halves. The examiner knows where you are going. Comes to body part 1, procedural limitations. The how of amendment, special majority in each house for some provisions ratification by half of the states. The president must give assent. These are procedural hurdles. The steps parliament cannot skip. This is the part 1 of procedural body. Then second part, that is substantive limitations. The what of amendment. Here lies the basic structure doctrine from Keshavananda Bharati. Parliament may amend any part but cannot destroy the basic structure. Judicial review, federalism, secularism, rule of law. These cannot be amended anyway. These cannot be amended away, however correct the procedure. Look at the notice, look at the order. Please notice this. Procedure first, because the statement named it first, then substance second, because it is the deeper limit and the stronger note to build toward. Then comes to conclusion, two lines. The amending power is wide. but not sovereign. Procedure restrains the method. Basic structure protects the soul of the constitution. That is the structure. Four blocks, each one mapped to a word in the question. We have not written every sentence. We have not written every sentence here, but the answer can no longer go wrong. Bigger question, same shape, the format scaled up. The thinking did not change from smaller question to bigger question, from 10 markers to 15 markers. So now you can build, you can structure, you can open, you can develop, and you can land. A prioritized decision has become a structured answer. But a structured answer is a scoring answer, not at a high one. Not at a high one. What lifts a good answer to a top answer? What makes the evaluator stop and notice? That is part of 5. That is going to improving answers, data, examples, diagrams, maps, flowcharts, used only when they earn their place. This is all we are going to discuss in the part number 5. In this part number 4, we discussed how to build answers. Thank you.